All right, I'll call the meeting to order. And we need to make a statement pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. I'm hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of this meeting. If you wish not to be recorded, there's the door, I guess, and because we're going to keep going with the recording. All right, so that being said and done, the first order of business is to approve the open session minutes of June 11th, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to accept the minutes of June 11, 2024.
You okay? Second. So we have a motion and a second. No adjustments. Everybody's good? All right. Seeing so, we'll vote. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. So that's a unanimous vote. All right. The next, we have a discussion of... Oh, no, we don't. We have public comment. Before we get into the discussion, public comment. Anybody wish to make a public comment? You'll have to announce your name so we know who you are and who we're talking to.
Well, good evening. I'm Kathy Hall, the Youth Commission Chairwoman. And I'd like to start off by saying a huge thank you to the volunteers of Berkshire Bank for their annual Extraordinary Day, they call it X Day, to benefit our Lee playgrounds. They added safety servicing to 3 of our parks, painted lines on all 5 of our basketball courts, cleaned as many branches from fences as possible, touched up paint and equipment, and cleaned the picnic tables. Again, thank you, Berkshire Bank, for your extraordinary day on June 13th. In other exciting news, the tennis and pickleball courts are repaired. Another huge thank you to Peretti Sports for a fabulous job. The courts will open on Friday. Lastly, the District Attorney's Office has asked the Lee Youth Commission if they would sponsor a water safety event. We're in the process of working with another group to provide the event. More details at the next Selectboard meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? All right, seeing none, then we'll go on to our general business. And the first thing we have is a presentation by Seth Jenkins from BRPC to discuss issues and possibilities up at 300 Stockbridge Road. Welcome.
Great. Thank you so much. So I don't actually have a presentation, but you did get a packet as information. So I'm really here to kind of see if you have questions about the memorandum, kind of give you a breakdown of the process and how it went.
Sure.
So we started back in the winter of 2023 with a contract. It was a community compact grant that paid for the work. We decided to interview stakeholders as a starting point. So we interviewed 13 different groups in town, including yourselves, the Planning Board, the AgCom, the Conservation Commission, the Open Space Committee, to get feedback from all of them about what they'd like to see on the site. As a result of that process, there were several fairly tangible things that were outcomes. First off, it became apparent that there wasn't an active lease on the property, and that was something that the town needed to amend.
Yep.
So we helped to amend that. Also, in looking at other town-owned parcels, it became apparent that there were 2 other town-owned parcels nearby this town farm property. And so when we investigated that intervening parcel, it became apparent that was under Chapter 61. I think the town negotiated with the property owner and is in the process of finishing that sale to connect all those parcels. So that was another tangible outcome. There wasn't a lot of consensus with all the groups. I mean, each group kind of brought their own particular outlook on what they'd like to see with the property. I mean, the Ag Commission was more agriculturally focused. The abutters were more interested in seeing it kind of remain in a status quo situation. The Conservation Commission and the Land Trust and the Community Gardens were interested in seeing some community garden features on the site. So it seemed like the greatest consensus was around some enhanced trail network. And I know that in talking with Chris, there has been some work at Longcoat to reestablish some of those trails. And then in walking the site, there are connections, kind of informal connections to those trails in Longcoat. So I'm here to kind of see what questions you have based on the information I provided you with, and kind of go from there.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? And first of all, thank you for all the work, because I know anybody who doesn't know what's going on, if you want to just take a quick read on this and then come back with questions, it won't be today. But anyway, there it is. So yes, it's quite a volume of work, and I know you put a lot of time in talking to everyone. Any questions or comments?
No, I haven't had a chance to read
Okay.
what that. I do appreciate your efforts, and it'll be interesting to hear from the various parties concerned and try to come up with some sort of consensus.
So I take it dog park didn't hit like real high on the list.
There were some folks that mentioned dog park. I mean, it was not something that we heard over and over.
Yeah.
But there were some vocal proponents of a dog park.
Okay. Well, I know that's been bandied around and talked about for probably 20 years. I just didn't know if in your research here, if that...
Certainly, it was one of the recommendations that we made because we had heard that there was interest in dog parks. So we presented that as one of the possibilities. And certainly, like I said, there were some folks that were interested, but I wouldn't say that it rose to the level of trails.
Okay.
I mean, the majority of folks said they would like to see trails.
Sean,
I don't have any questions. There's a lot to consider here, but I think like a multi-use, I think at some level, like the trails being a good starter, and then we can over the years sort of pick at some of these other smaller items. I think that's my thought process about how to not heavily develop that area, but get some use, get some recreational activities for the residents. So,
And I think you could kind of choose a la carte and add things over the years, right? There's nothing that if you were to design everything so that they fit together, you could start with a parking lot, some trails, and then maybe add some community gardens, and then later on a
pavilion or something like that. Just
maybe a dog park if people are really using the site. If you find that people aren't really using it, it is a little bit out of town. So
Did you in inquiring from the various groups, did you actually put out any kind of questionnaire for the public at large, or?
There wasn't a questionnaire specifically geared toward this parcel. As part of the master plan process, there were certainly generalized open space questions that were included as part of that. And I think that there was some guidance that could be taken from that process, but there was not a specific survey about period or parcel.
is there, and I haven't read the whole thing yet, obviously it's so big, but is there an actual, I don't want to say a design because that's not the right word, projected areas where trails would be? Is there a map in there?
The last page of the
Pocket park or the open space?
I'm sorry, in
our handout. Yep.
There's some conceptual drawings in terms of kind of where the trails existing in Longcoat were, how those could be connected, and can sort of using
Land's different.
the existing site in terms of where the hayfields were, where the fence rows were, kind of using some of that.
All right. Because I wondered, I know that we've had interest in the past of some kind of working with the Agricultural Commission and others to create some kind of garden space. And it would be interesting to figure out, I've seen this done in other communities, but how do you divide it up and how I didn't know if there was a spot picked out for that or not real.
Not really. I mean, I think there was a spot identified with just a block.
That's fine.
Potential community gardens.
Okay.
And usually the way that works is, the group will create those raised beds, and then depending on how many participants they've got, they'll assign each one to a family or couple of people that.
So in your history with all these kind of things, I know one big problem in another place that I saw this is water. You know, being able to water their gardens and water. Is that mentioned at all in here? Like suggestion of putting a well in, or you know, I've seen them come in with these big carts, you know, big water tanks, and
There's town water available contiguous to the site.
oh, okay. So we could, if we wanted
I mean,
to.
it would depend on where you decide to install those features, but there is water that's not terribly far that you could get.
Okay, well, that's good to
Town
know.
water.
Because that's always a problem with these, is being able to get access to water
Yeah.
specific to only the gardens. That's not to fill your pool.
I do want to mention, Mr. Chair, too, that we do have kind of for the next step in this process, we do have a follow-up grant that would look at a specific design of where, you know, specifically a trail could go through, how we would get through certain wet areas, accessibility, ready conservation requirements, that sort of thing would be kind of the next step.
Cool.
We will know about that in the fall.
Okay. Clay. Anything else? Don't go away.
No, I'm going to talk to you about the open space plan.
Okay. Before we go on from that, sticking specifically with 300 Stockbridge Road, does anybody in the public have a question or a comment? Kathy, come up so everybody can hear you.
I just want to know if the information you have will be available to the community. Will it be on the website?
Yep.
So that we know what's going on, because so many people ask what's happening with 300 Stockbridge.
Sure.
So it might be nice to be able to see the whole process.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that second step where there might be a committee that says this can go here. this can
Yeah.
go there.
Right. We'll be looking into that soon. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, if not, let's talk about the open space then. Open space and rec plan.
Okay, so the open space and rec plan was done in conjunction with the master plan. It's a state required plan to be eligible for a couple of different grant funding sources that the state makes having a current open space plan a prerequisite for. So the last time we produced an open space plan was in 2017. And we used that plan as kind of the basis for building off of and coming up with the new plan. There was a separate committee formed from the master plan committee, and they're listed in the front of the master plan. But that group worked. I think we had 9 or 10 meetings where we developed new goals, examined the old goals from the previous plan, kind of determined what had been accomplished, what was still relevant, what was still to be done. Maybe there were some new things that we needed to include. So, and then we also made sure that we vetted that with the master plan committee and made sure that they were on board with those, incorporated those into the master plan. So, really what we're looking for from you all is just a letter of endorsement saying that, you've reviewed the plan and that commend the efforts of the committee and you're anxious to get it registered with the state so that the town can be eligible for grant funding. I mean, it's actually currently based on the submission that we've already done, the town could apply for grant funding. It's just a matter of until you have the final case plan submitted to the state, can't collect those final grant.
Oops. Very good. So I don't see anything to sign tonight or a letter or anything like that to recommend. So we just vote to support it and sign endorse the chair sign, or we can have everybody sign.
Nothing you're looking for a signature tonight, right?
No, I think when I had sent you the original proposal, I put some draft language on there, but it's sort of just boilerplate to saying, because this
Just supporting and
supporting, endorsing, and recognizing, and it doesn't. I know Kathy and Mary were our chairs, and she's come to me with some last minute edits, so we're going to get those included into the plan. So it's not set in stone. We can still make some minor modifications to it.
okay. And is there a recommended time frame for review and updates, like for an open space Every 3 years, 2 years?
So the plan is good for 7 years.
Oh, okay.
It's got a 7-year lifespan. So
We're right at the edge. 2017.
right, yeah. So
2024.
16, I think.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So we're right at the end.
So we are. Okay. All right.
So it's good to maybe the year before
Yeah.
start working on the updates so that you don't have a lapse in coverage. Although, like I said, that it's once you submit that initial plan to the state and they come back with required edits, you are eligible.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, what's your pleasure?
Well, Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to endorse the OSRP plan.
And sign at the board sign.
I have the board side on the letter, yeah.
All right.
I would second
Hang
it.
have a second. All right. Any other discussions or comments from the public or you gentlemen?
I was happy to be a part of this committee, and I thank Seth for all the great work in BRPC, and, you know, it was enjoyable, and I think we can get a lot done with this plan in place in town,
All right.
and reference it for some funding, and
Okay. Anything else? No. Any other comments? Okay. Seeing no other comments, there's been a motion and a second. I'd call for a vote. All those in favor?
I
And I'll make that unanimous. Sounds great. Thank you for your work. No, we appreciate it.
Thanks. Well, I want to thank the town for their
Yeah.
contribution, and a lot of volunteers put a lot of
Yes.
a lot of hard work into it. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. That's that. Okay, we are on to general business, number C, a temporary sign permit extension and waiver. There's actually 2 sign permits that they're asking for waivers on. This is from the Chamber of Commerce. Kathy is not here tonight, but she's submitted. They want an additional 30 days, and according to our bylaw, that 30 days is what we can give them. So, do we have, and I'm sure they want to waive any kind of fee if there is one. So, do we have any recommendations or questions?
I think this is just an extension of the existing.
did.
So I'll make a motion that we extend the temporary sign commit for the Chamber of Commerce for the farmers market,
For 30 more days?
30 more days.
You got it. And do I have a second? We have a second. And that's for both signs?
Yes.
Okay, so click limits, all right. If there's no other discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, and I'll make that unanimous. Maybe. Okay, we have an annual reappointment issue for fiscal year 25. I guess I got to read all this, right? Anyway, so we do have some reappointments, and then later we'll have some appointments, new appointments. So we have is the Board of Assessors to be reappointed, and that's Sarah Navin. Board of Health, Robert Westbizer. Capital Outlay, we have 5 capital outlay positions. There's Buck Donovan, Matt Filio, Peter Hoffman, Arthur Mack, Patrick Rooney, and Tony Thomas.
Well, Tony's kind of
Oh, I'm sorry. I got my line mixed up here. You're right. All right. Forget Tony Thomas for that. Anyway, so for Conservation Commission, we have Tony Thomas. Then for Cultural Council, we have Valerie Blum, Kathleen Crow, Allison Lotto, and Robin O'Farrell. And then the Greener Gateway Committee, we have Joan Angelo, Valerie Blum, Peter Hoffman, Patricia Johnston, Catherine Laird, Catherine Miller, James Schwartz, Christina Schwartz, Patricia Simpson, and that's the last one for that. Then in the Historical Commission, we have Sandra Casalio, William Matthews, and Susan Stone. Jacob's Ladder Trail Scenic Byway Commission, we have Linda Sis. And then Lee Youth Commission, we have Kathleen Hall. Sandy Beach Commission, we have Mary Lou Antonazzi and Gail Cerisia. Those are the proposed reappointments. And do I have any discussion or motions?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we reappoint the mentioned committee members.
I second that.
All right. Now I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's right. Now we're onward and upward to approval of a hawker peddler license. And since we have somebody here to discuss this with us, why don't you come on up and introduce yourself?
Natalie. My name is Lynn Weiskell. I have been a resident of Lee for almost 16 years.
Okay.
Put myself through cosmetology school in 2015, got my license in 2016, and worked in a few high-end salons. Didn't really fit in
Okay.
what I was looking to do. I was looking for something more meaningful and health.
Sure.
So I have decided to do a mobile hair cutting service where I would travel to the person's home, whether they be homebound, disabled, in the hospital, nursing home, such as that.
Okay.
Fees really depend on the situation. You know, I'm not here to make $1 million. I'm on disability myself for a pain disorder. You know, it's,
Okay. Sure.
but I needed something that meant something to me
Right.
and to other people. So
And I see you got your state license.
I have my state license. I have my town license.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for us.
I'm waiting for you guys.
Okay, that's what I
Very
thought.
nice to meet you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you.
I'm trying to picture it in my head. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know either. It's all a big surprise every week. We just don't know what's going to happen.
But I do have Ace to
Yeah, so are we. I was thinking, yeah, it was not going to be a good night, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So in this, before I call for a discussion about how do people get hold of you? How are you going to do as far as advertising? Okay.
Website. Business cards are in the mail.
Okay. Great.
But not really moving forward unless I have the AOK from you guys.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments?
And just fully understand your services that you're providing once again.
Cutting, shampooing, whether they're bed bound or whatever, is not set up to do bed bound as of
Yep.
yet, but I can, assist some. I was a caregiver for 2 years for a man with dementia. So I'm aware of disabilities and transportation.
Okay.
So basically whatever service I need, I'm not going to perm or color your hair.
Sure.
It's
okay.
needed services for people that can't make it to a salon.
It says nail trimming. You do nails
I
too
can do
with the
nail
other
trimming.
paints.
I'm not going to paint your nails, but I'll make you, I'll clean you up, clean facial hair,
Okay.
make
Really
you feel
good.
good about yourself.
Sounds great. We could all use that. That's I like that.
People,
Very good.
my main focus is definitely the homebound
Okay.
veterans, people in recovery, because I
Sure.
am an ally with the South County Recovery Center.
Okay. Great.
So,
Okay.
Is it just Lee that you're in, or what other?
no, it'll be Berkshire County.
Yeah.
So I have to get a hawker peddler for every
Every town. Good luck.
town.
Good
A
luck.
lot of running around.
Well, at least we don't all meet on the same night.
I know.
You know, so that might be a little healthy.
Yeah, tugged in different directions.
You got it. All right. Robert, anything?
No, it's true. I'll make if there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve a pocket cutter license for mobile hair demands.
They do?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions from the public or anyone? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. So that was unanimous, and this will all be signed off, and they'll get it for you. They'll get it. Okay, very good.
Nice to
All right.
meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Thank you, and good luck. All right, so next we have an approval of one-day wine and malt license for Evening Star Lodge, and I'm going to recuse myself. I happen to be a member of the lodge, so I will not talk about it at all, and I will turn the gavel over to Sean Renier.
Thanks.
Oh, you're
Gordon.
Sean. Sure.
Yeah, so in front of us we have an application for a special one-day alcohol beverage license. This is an event for the Evening Star Lodge, located on 195 Laurel Street, and beer and wine only. The event's going to start at 12 and end at 8. I would entertain a motion for approval this time.
So moved.
I'll second. Any further discussion, Bob? Anybody out there have any questions? No? Then if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One abstention.
One abstention. All right, thank you.
You can have that back.
Well, thank you so much. We'll fix it. All right, thanks, sir. All right, next, we have on our agenda, there's to sign a letter of support for the Planning Assistant Grant for Virtual Regional Planning and Planning Board. This is G. Is this the letter? I will read the letter. It is to Mr. Kurt Gartner, Assistant Secretary of Environmental Policy, Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs in Boston. It says, Dear Mr. Gardner, the Town of Lee Board fully supports the FY25 Planning Assistance Grant application submitted by Berkshire Regional Planning Commission on behalf of the community. Over the past 2 years, the town has developed a new master plan, which was adopted by the Planning Board on May of 2024. This effort highlighted a number of specific actions to advance amendments in the downtown area, with a focus on creating flexibility, developing clear priorities for new development, eliminating potential barriers to development, and encouraging more housing production. The grant proposal will allow the town to begin immediate substantive implementation of the master plan in these respects. This letter registers the town's commitment to this effort, and we strongly encourage the approval of this grant application in order to allow the advancement of zoning changes in the town of Lee. Sincerely, by the board members. Any comments or questions? No. Any comments or questions from the public? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to send a letter of support.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Aye.
I was just saying CJ was here, but
Oh, well, but, yeah,
no,
okay. You didn't jump up and, well, I'll finish by voting and making it unanimous, but is there anything you'd like to just come up and let everybody know about? That'd be great. I didn't mean to ignore you.
Oh, I'm always happy to.
No, to
Thank you, CJ. Just for Regional Planning
Yeah.
Commission. So the project we've talked about with the planning board is it's really figuring out what the best zoning tool is for the specifically for the downtown area, but with some interest of how to make it easier to create more housing.
Yeah.
Especially like that's more convenient to downtown. So we're not exactly what form that'll come in, but it'll be really an analysis of potential tools the town could consider, picking one, and then we'll develop that zoning with the planning board. And there'll be plenty of public engagement throughout the process.
Right.
But really, it's something that we didn't think was going to happen right away, but this grant opportunity popped up, and it was what the planning board talked about being really interested in. So just seems to be working itself out where if we get the grant, we'll be able to jump right into some significant zoning changes.
And this housing issue is one of the governor's big pushes too.
Yeah, we're in talking about how you always want to talk about housing in the grant application.
Yes.
It's like right off the bat, the bonus points start
Exactly.
the application. So we already have the application pretty far along. So we'll likely submit now that we have your support. We'll submit this probably at the end of next week, and hopefully this fall we'll have an answer.
Good. Any comments or anything?
Oh, thank you very much.
I have a couple questions. There are comments for you, just in case, because I've talked to the planning board about this many times. And in case they haven't let you know, some of our zoning is very restrictive as far as the number of units within a building and lot and all that. And it's special permit by the Board of Selectmen. And I don't mind keeping some of the larger projects as our special permit. But I think we really need to get rid of the language that limits us on number of units and whatnot. It's quite antiquated, and it doesn't make any sense for the use of the properties that are around. And I think it's a hindrance to development in that way. So if they have not told you that someone's approached them about that, now you know.
That's great. I mean, a lot of our focus in all the communities we're working when it comes to housing, it's just how do you make it easier to and more allow the town to be more open to different types of housing.
Yeah.
And what and it's the same story across most of our communities.
Yeah.
So, and that's great to hear because that stuff and putting part of this is how do you remove red tape and allow consider proposals that the town hasn't been able to consider in the past because of their restrictiveness.
So in review, obviously we review the bylaws. You're going to work with the planning board to open things up. Is this something that we could expect to see by next year's annual town meeting, or something if we had a fall special for some reason? I don't know how fast this might move along.
Yeah, so it really comes down to how quickly the grant awards are made, the contract. So if we actually can start work this fall, I would say that it would be possible for maybe a special town meeting next. So that would be fall of 2025, because it'll probably take some time to really make that happen. Because, especially, given the open-endedness of like the different things we could be, the town could be considering, I would say it'd probably take a solid 6 to 8 months to really pull that together. So I would say aiming for fall of 25. I think turning something around for town meeting next spring would be difficult.
A little close, okay.
Yeah.
Even if we did it, baby steps.
If we can move that quickly, and if we identify some things that we can adjust right away, that certainly they could consider that.
Because that would be nice.
I just don't like to ever promise when it comes to timing. So if it turns out that way, that'd be great. Okay. But I'd say more realistically looking to the following fall, assuming we can get the grant funding released right away, all that happens,
Please, Doug.
yeah.
Sounds great. All right, well, thank you for your time on all this. And so any other questions, fellas? Then about a motion one way or another to sign this letter of support.
I think, didn't we already just?
Oh, we just voted. Oh, that's right, because then we called you up. I actually wrote it down that we did it. So anyway, I just didn't look down at my parts. All right, thank you.
Great work.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, CJ.
Sorry about that, folks.
Sorry.
All right, so next, turn page here. They're talking about the appointment of a building reuse committee. This is H. We have 4 people who have asked to be on it. That's Bill DeFries, Kathy DeVers, Mike Klein, Hayden Kuhn, and Virginia Vanya. And we heard from Virginia last time. And everybody who wanted to be on it has sent in some information here. And what I did notice is that if we fill it out the way it is here, we're at 10 members. And, I feel about even numbers with the committee. I'd like to see it with. Yes.
I didn't.
Can you come up?
Didn't get back on in listening.
This
These are for the.
This is a different thing.
committee, but these are the at-large.
Yes, I didn't read off the other ones. I'm just saying right now, I'm talking about the members at large.
Okay.
We'll write off.
Say
That's because I didn't, so I'm glad you didn't hear it. So, okay. I will read all those names in just a minute. So we'll have to be looking at that, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings to either, I think 9, we went to 13, and the other one, I think 11. I think if we add it to 11, I don't know what
Do we want to do 3 members at large and make it 11? Is that what we're
That's what I'm talking about. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm fine with that. I think that makes sense. Not
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. Okay. Is there, actually you have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Is 13 too big for that committee?
That's a great question. Well, we got 13 on the other one.
Will that be our new lucky number?
I love 13. I love 13 is one of my favorite numbers. 3 and 13.
Everybody's written.
Yeah, they've written well. Yeah. No, that's a good point. But instead of going to 11, what if we do them all the people who asked to be on it, then that would take us to 13. So it's open discussion. What do you think? How do you guys want to proceed?
I'm fine with that.
We'll go on with everybody.
Yes.
Well, it makes our job easier because now we have we're gonna have to vote.
It was gonna be
tough.
It was gonna be really tough to narrow that.
Yeah, because everybody. Yeah, you're right. Because the letters of interest are all very good, very well done, and a lot of people have some good interests and some really good backgrounds. Anyway, so if that's what you want to do, why doesn't somebody make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we appoint the building reuse committee, including the 5 applicants for the members at large position.
And do you want to just read the poll?
I will. As soon as
I'll second that.
Okay, so there's the motion and second. So this is what we're about to do. We have Town Administrator Chris Bredden. Member of the Select Board will be Bob Jones. Member of the Fire Company will be Ed North. Member of the VFW is Glenn Posey. Member of the Food Pantry, Sue Gore. Member of the Historical Society, Gary Allen. Member of the Historical Commission, William Matthews. Member of the Lee Youth Commission, Annie Lee. Also members at large, Bill DeFriest, Kathy DeVarens, Mike Klein, Hayden Kuhn, and Virginia Varnia. That's what we're looking at, and that makes us 13 members, I guess. There's a motion and a second, so any further discussion?
I guess just let's not try to get too bogged down with so many committee members, because
Yeah.
a large committee can do that. That's my
Well, yes, and if we had a committee of 7, it'd probably be perfect, but how are you going to fit all these different interests in? You can't really do it,
But yeah, I think
I agree.
13's.
It's going to be up to the chairman of this committee to keep them focused.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing, is keep people focused so they can move along. So, Bob, I'm assuming you would probably chair it, or maybe Chris, I don't know how you want to. You can do it anyway, or they can all vote on a chair or what. But otherwise, I think if you chaired it, that would be a good thing.
I would be delighted, and I think that we are compelled to put everything really in a positive light. This is a good thing.
Yep.
And compel cooperation and moving forward. This is a big deal for the town.
Yep.
And we want to make everybody comfortable and be able to function. I think that's should be, if we all just keep our eye on the ball there, I think it's going to work pretty well.
Okay, great.
Well said.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. So I did keep track this time. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's unanimous. Those are our board members. Okay. The CDC update, and that would be me. And Chris, you were there, so if I missed something. Our Community Development Corporation was created many, many years ago with a specific purpose, and that was to utilize and search out companies and businesses that would come to Lee and provide jobs. One of the things that came from them was the Office Park Light Industrial Complex, which hosts currently the new Ray Murray building, the doctors, there's a doctors group, there's coffee roasters, a CTSB is down there. So, and there are a couple other RWs just going in. Bill Bonnell may not be RWs, but Bill Bonnell. And then there's some activity a little further back on one of the other properties potentially. So that came of it. But then everything for jobs kind of hit the skids. I think when GE moved out and things didn't look as good, we couldn't find any more town land that was really really ready and ripe to be developed for businesses. And the CDC has been kind of wondering, I think, what to do and how to go forward. We had an executive director, Rich Vanette, for many years, and that kind of went the way of the wind. And at this point in time, they were doing some soul searching, and in discussions, they've done some rethinking, and they're excited to change their focus and perhaps their bylaw a little bit and some other issues. And they want to help focus on housing in the town of Lee, as well as businesses. They're not giving up on business. But my understanding, if I'm saying this correctly, is that they're interested in also trying to help facilitate affordable housing and housing in general, and reaching out to people with some land and working with folks and developers. So is that short a synopsis of what we talked about?
The new bylaws here approved next week. They now include housing as part of sufficient.
Yep. Yeah. So, and that does open up a lot of potential for the town. And as I mentioned earlier with Berkshire Regional Planning, the governor is, asking for $4.5 billion for housing in general in the state. And that opens up a huge number of potential opportunities for grants and whatnot. So it would be great to have this very experienced group of people who are on the committees to utilize what they know about developing business to turn that to focus on developing housing. So I think this will be a big plus for our town. So I guess that's my update. Anything else happened that's reportable? I think that was
The
majority.
big thing, yeah.
Okay.
So they're interested in affordable housing trust too. Was that what you just talked about? A number of years. So yeah.
Well, that's my report on the CDC. Sure.
Fred.
No problem. All right, well, next we have a Berkshire gas permit on Marjorie Street. It looks like they want to install a new gas from the east side of Old Pleasant Street into Marjorie Street. What's your pleasure? This is at, what was the address I just saw?
I don't think it has.
No, you're right. It doesn't have the exact address, but they're crossing the east side, from the east side of Old Pleasant onto Marjorie. Oh, there's a picture, though. Anyway, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the gas permit for a new gas main from the east side of Old Pleasant into Marjorie Street, and I would hope that they can bore if possible.
Yes, yep. We'll talk to the BPW, so we've had a sign off. We can double check with them, and hopefully they can do that also, instead of cutting through the street again.
And we'll second that.
All right, seconded. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's unanimous. All right, and that is done. Now, at the last meeting, we actually appointed Sean Renier to the BRTA Advisory Board. But
wrong.
well, yeah, I know. Yeah, he thought it was Berkshire Regional Planning. He thought it was a different board. Anyway, so we reached out to again to Andrea Wadsworth. She has been our representative for many years. So we did reach out again to Andrea to clarify that yes, she is willing to be reappointed. So with that knowledge, knowing she's willing to serve again, what's your pleasure, John?
I hope you got to ride on the bus at least.
Did you?
Didn't even ride on the bus. Meeting, didn't ride on the bus.
I don't know. Oh, well.
Mr. Chairman,
It's a short.
it's a short.
That was when he was a kid.
Cindy.
I mean, it was a short time on the committee.
On the committees, right?
You're right. So, well, it was short term. That's very sure. Very true.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we appoint Andrea Wadsworth to the BRTA Advisory Board.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. So we have a motion and a second, and I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. So that is a vote. We also have a new appointment. Well, it's not a new appointment really, but it's a renewal. But he was off for 1 year. But David Carrington has shown interest in being on the Agricultural Commission again, which he served for a number of years. And what's your pleasure with this?
Mr. Chairman, I move we appoint David Carrington to the Agricultural Commission.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's unanimous also. Now we have an escrow agreement that needs to be signed. It's a escrow agreement and vote to authorize town council to sign any documents necessary for the closing at 300 Stockbridge Road. This has to do with a very, very small parcel of land with a barn on it that we've already voted and signed off on. It's just a matter of putting some money in escrow to have a tank removed and what's in the tank removed, so that we can go forward with the sale without having to wait for everything else to happen. So again, it's a speedy thing. So any questions or any other comments before I call for a motion? No. All right. I would entertain a motion then to sign off on the agreement.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we sign the escrow agreement and authorize town council to sign any other documents necessary for the closing of 300 Stockbridge Road.
I will second that.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that is also unanimous. Next, we have in front of us Berkshire Regional Transportation, right? We have arrangements and we have a drug policy that needs to be signed off. So that
Yearly sign for our council on aging.
right, and so that's it. It's something we do every year. This will effective date as of June 18th today, 2024, and it's one that we've signed off on before. So since we've seen this before, any questions or comments though?
Just that there's no changes other than the dates.
Thank you. All right, with that in mind, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move we sign the Council on Aging drug policy for Berkshire Regional Transit and Coding.
Second.
We have a second. All right. And no questions or comments out there? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it is voted. All right, next, we have get to this one. You want to explain this designer selection procurement? It is from the federal government, correct?
It's actually for state. Yeah,
okay.
It's a document that the state provides, and it's their model designer selection process, and we're required to adopt a process. We are hoping to meet with the newly established, not the reuse committee, but the new building committee in early July to assign an OPM, or actually I should say to put out the bids for an RFP, or they call it an RFS in this case.
Right.
For owner's project manager. We just need to have this in place so that when we get the OPM, we can also use the OPM for the designer selection. So
They can participate in it. Okay.
So we're just adopting these. They're necessary that we adopt them before we go into that next step of the process. So the building committee will review the request for services. If that looks good, they'll go out. There'll be a month for responses, and then hopefully by the end of July, we'll have we'll come back to that committee, and they will rank the submissions and choose a OPM for the project. So, which will be right around the time we should hopefully have our funding.
Easy to go. That sounds good. Any questions? I have a couple, but not many. I learned. Sean? So this person eventually who will be hired, will they be town employees, so to speak? Or will they be independent contractors?
They will be
To the town.
independent. We're not hiring them as an employee of.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Some larger municipalities will do an in-house OPM.
Yes, we've done that before.
But this will be a private contractor, but they will be just there for the interests of the town. They will not be connected with the architects to any of the construction companies or anything like that. There will be years for our benefit to look after the town's interests.
And for language that most people would know rather than OPM or whatever, it's like a clerk of the works.
Correct.
It's just
Yeah.
keeping track of all the different things that need to be kept track of.
And they will guide us through we will get them first, and then they'll get us through the next phase, which will be the architect. Now, we did put in our feasibility study, the option to keep that, but it requires a recommendation to keep the same architect.
Gotcha.
It would be a recommendation from the OPM.
Alone, not necessarily a group, then it could be just
It's one option.
one option.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So,
Great. No, I appreciate it.
and it was in the feasibility study that would be, and they would be able to continue.
Sure.
So,
So what I noticed was it's just to adopt. There's no signature needed. It's just a vote of the board to adopt this policy. Okay.
just need that in the minutes that it's been adopted. It is not, and it's a model policy that the state provides. So
Sure. So we have not amended it. All right. So any other comments or questions now that we've gone this far?
Yep.
All right. So do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would move that we adopt the designer selection procedures from the state.
Okay. I have a second that.
Okay. Any questions out there on what we're doing? All right. Saying none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nice. Great. That's good. Project manager. Any topic the chairman could not reasonably anticipate. I just have one, Chris, bring up, and I'll just bring it up now. I know that I had a call from somebody who was like, what's going on with this special town meeting? I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. And I went on the website and I couldn't find it. And I know it's there. I absolutely know it's there. Okay. So, maybe you could are you going to touch base on that?
Yeah, that's just
Okay, then we'll wait on that. But I think the recommendation that was brought to me that I'm just passing through to you was that if it was more apparent when you went on, instead of having to go to new news or whatever it is, if it's more apparent about,
the actual special town meeting so people can find it a little quicker. Hey, this person, couldn't find it. And so that's all. That was
It's
all.
in 3 places on the website. The news, unfortunately, what happens is we add more news to it and things get moved.
Gotcha.
Sometimes some are, so I can go back on and flag that as a priority thing to put it back up on there. So it is in the news, but as I say, as we add more things, it only shows the first 4 on it. So it's in the news. It's also in the event calendar, and it is also on with all of the other postings and agendas.
Now, I went over that with the posting locations, and we had it out there, and the person did know that they had seen that, but they tried to find it on the website.
Well, it is there, and we can highlight that news part again.
Super, thank you.
And bring it back up to the top. So, and of course, it's in compliance with our bylaws. It's in the post office, and
I understand. The library, town hall. So I have a question on again, I didn't think about talking about this. It's under matters not thought of ahead of time and all that. At one time, I thought that we spoke about some kind of a sign up at the fire station in front that was like one we could like change the message on electronic or whatever, which we're allowed to do that. Is that in this year's budget or consideration at all?
That was originally with impact money.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's not there anymore there. But we did start looking at that, and then as things change with the impact money and so forth, and we had to prioritize some of that money, and that kind of sort of dropped off. But there was a plan at one point.
I thought so.
And certainly as we look at the reuse of that building, there's going to be some work that's got to be done there. So I certainly think that's something that could go back into the plan. So because when the EMS building is demolished, something's going to be done there. That would be the time that we're taking on the wiring and so forth. So,
and that makes perfect sense because as I picture driving through town, that seems to be town-owned land that would be the best visibility to be able to announce special town meeting, that kind of a thing, which would certainly make it more visible to everybody. Because I got to tell you, not many people go to our website, as many as you would like, and so there are a lot of people who don't have a clue. But now that leads into you to tell us what we're doing.
So that was on my and I do want to, just in regards to that, it goes out every year in the real estate taxes, but anyone can go to the website and sign up on the e-alerts. It's right at the top. When you do that, when we post things, you'll get an email. For certain things, we can e-blast out, and we have a text message system now. So those are both available. And everyone receives the sign up for that in their tax bills as well. So,
well, we got our 911 alerts today.
Several today.
I got it from the Commonwealth. I got it from you. I got it from, I was like, okay, 911 isn't working.
Anyway, but back to the town meeting. It will be a week from Thursday on the 27th at 6 p.m. At the high school auditorium. It is a one motion, one agenda, or one article town meeting. And it's the sole purpose is to make a procedural correction on the motion that was made on December 6th that bond counsel requested. By doing this, we will be able to stay on track with our bonding. If we don't do this, or if for some reason that wasn't successful, it's going to delay the bonding by a matter of a few months while we go through some other steps. But either way, the project is still approved. This is just to expedite the bonding. Otherwise, it will still happen, but just delay in the fall instead of now. So, so they did recommend that. It's the question, and there's a whole summary on the website as well.
Okay.
It just says it'll be moved as a main motion to amend a motion previously adopted. There's debate on that amendment only, which is to strike basically one sentence from the motion. And then it's a majority vote.
Okay.
And so it
it doesn't affect the fact that we're going to do this project. And that it's not a yes, no on this. That's all done.
Right. It's just,
I just want to make that very clear to folks. It's not an up or down vote on that. It's to speed things up as far as bonding goes.
right.
All right. Thank you.
I would also hope that people come.
Oh, we need somebody.
We need 50 people to actually make a quorum, and so even if you're like, it's just one art. Well, we need to actually.
It could potentially be a very quick meeting.
It could
Knock on wood.
You think it would be? I know there's going to be somebody's going to say, "Why is this happening? Explain to us what happened." That kind of, which that's a great question. So that we'll deal with at the meeting. But yeah, and that's a great point, Sean.
No, just write this one off. We need to.
Yeah,
That would be
we need to get 50. We need to get 50 people.
We are doing a simple voice vote. It's a majority vote. So we're in the interest of time and making it simple. There will be no clickers or anything.
Yeah, right.
You will have to check in. They will have the poll pads out for a quick check-in. And we're going to go right to the Warren article and a voice vote if the moderator can call it with the voice vote, it will be done. It'll dissolve the meeting, and that's it. If not, we will go to a standing vote. We're not going to go through the whole, electronic voting for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. Well, let's hope we have 50 people. That's what we're hoping for.
The other thing I wanted to report was I did want to let the board know. We're pleased to announce that we have offered a position for a new town planner, and the person has accepted. So by mid-July, we should have a new planner on board, ready to start. So thank you to Sean, was on that committee. So
Yeah, happy. We got we freshly sort of not renovated, but we fixed up the planning office, the building, land use office, that is. So got a nice new environment to come into. So we're looking for
It's okay to say a name now that all this stuff is done, or not?
well, just in the interest that we have not onboarded yet.
You got and that's fine. I didn't want to spoil
I
anything.
will say the couple has very good qualifications. Right. Also, master's degree in community planning, and and they're also an architect. So
Great. You'd be great. Well, if you're on there and you're supportive, then we're in good shape.
very much so.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Thank you. Anything else?
Well, the last thing was just what I wanted to announce again about this board and committee openings that we have. We are still looking for up to 3 people for 5-Town Cable Advisory. They will be going back probably to quarterly meetings now that the contract is done. So we'll be starting off a little easier if anyone's interested. Ad Commission has 3 more spots available. Appalachian Trail Committee has unlimited spots. They meet monthly.
How many members are on that committee currently? Do you know?
I do not off the top of my head. I do Appalachian Trail. So I want to say like 7 maybe, but 6 or 7. Reed is checking. Sure.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Yeah.
So there's 5 full-time members and then another 5 that are alternate members who are just volunteers for right there.
Okay. Great. Florida Public Works has 1 alternate position. They meet twice a month. And we have the Capital Outlay has 1 open position. Council on Aging has 2 open positions. The Cultural Council has up to 16 open positions.
Just conservation.
Conservation.
I meet twice a month.
That is, I believe, is an alternate member.
Yeah. You can.
Greener Gateway is also unlimited. They meet monthly. Historical Commission has 4 positions available. They meet monthly. Youth Commission can take up to 14 more. They also meet monthly. And Personnel Board has has 3 positions available. They only meet on an as-needed basis, as well as the Zoning Board of Appeals, which also has an open position that also meets only as needed. So they're both they both meet if there's a change in personnel policies for the personnel board, or if there's a special permit or appeal or a variance zoning board. So I've seen them meet 3 weeks in a row, and I've seen them go 3 years without meeting. So, so that's all I have.
Fan. All right. Anything else from either of you, gentlemen? Not Elizabeth. All right, then our next regular meeting will be July 2nd. We're in July, can you believe it? 2024. It'll be right here at 7 p.m. In the former courtroom. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.